Now I switch to the Arnold renderer, and I build a little light, a little position. And you'll notice when it renders here, right click, that it does a good job. The building kind of breaks away that. I use the logarithmic exposure control, but you'll notice that here it looks beautiful. There's a lot of detail. One of our pillars actually hits the other street, so we'll have to get rid of that or move it. But you actually get a feeling of dimension. The problem is, it's just too much of an angle to actually see anything. It's too short. The city street isn't high enough. So what we're going to do is, we're going to cancel that, right? And then we're just simply going to bring that city street up. So let's click on the street, right click, go into front view. Let's take a look. Let's move that up to here. And then you can click on any of these boxes that we built, right? Any of these boxes. And then you can click on height and watch. How cool is that? Because they're all instances. Now, let's take a nice little render view of that and see what it does. If that heightened actually gives us a really cool render, because we can see more now. Look at that. Very cool, very artistic. You get a heightened sense of dramatic lighting quality because you can see more of it now as it goes through. And when you start to deal with light that bounces off the ground, back up, it just becomes just amazing. So let's do that. Let's cancel. Let's move these two pillars that are touching the city street and zoom in and just move them down on the y-axis. There you go. Not a problem. Let's do one more thing though. Now that we have that, let's click on the cement. And in the Arnold renderer, we're going to change this from standard to an Arnold regular material. It's just called a physical material for now. And that'll be just plain old boring material. Material mode, standard, advanced. And they've got a lot of really cool things here. Now, we could choose rough concrete, polished concrete. Let's do that. Polished concrete. What's that look like? Okay. So if we go into the System tab, we can do that. Let's just take a look. Physical material. And let's apply that to the ground that we've already selected. I'll show you this way. See? There's our ground. Now, let's apply it. Take a look at what happens in the render. It's probably going to be beautiful because it'll bounce. The light will bounce. It's a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit bouncier. So if you go here, I cancel this, go into the material itself. I mean, I'll just simply make my own. Alright, so there's another physical material here. Drop it here. Double click. And I'm going to make it base color, you know, kind of like a darker cement. But in our imaginary world, it's going to reflect a little bit. So by default, we're going to have not a clear coat, but we're going to have a little bit of reflection on the whole thing. Or we can just do this. Let's go to here, very top. And let's do plastic, just for fun. Matte plastic. And then click on the floor. Now let's take a look to see what that does. A little bit more reflection going on there. You see a reflection of the building here at the bottom. Some of this light's going to bounce off the top of this and onto these. You can go on and on until it looks super, super duper realistic. But for right now, that's what we've got. Now, let's cancel this render. Change the angle just a little bit of the view of the camera. Middle mouse wheel down. maybe like that. All right, so far so good. And let's take this tool down here and pan the camera and move it. And pan the camera a little bit. So we still get that reflection, still get that shadow, and we have a better city street view of what's going on. Look at that. Super cool. Well, that looks good for right now. We can go into that light as a beginner, and we can really, really pump it up just for now. So there's the light. Modify panel over here, and let's change the exposure to 12, and it changes the intensity big time. I mean, it's way too bright, but you'll get an idea of what's going on. So let's render real quick. Huge difference in the intensity. These are just generic numbers. You'll learn how to do the rest. But that looks really, really cool. It's got a little dimension. You got a little city going on now, and it's a lot of fun. Later on, we can modify these to have more detail and other little things on the side, and these little sides can be covered up and changed so it's not just the streaky wall where the projected map just goes on the side with the bitmap itself. Just like we did in the building over here, modify the building. It's a lot of fun.